What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the ARB fridge freezer combo. It's not the dual zone, it's the single zone. So if you're interested in hearing about the ARB and what it has to offer, more importantly why we got one, stick around.
You know I'm a heathen, still got some bones to break. My drink got me leaning, you about to make a mistake. I'm so far gone, bad blood turned on. I burn to anyone in my way. I'm about to bury my hatchet, so pick up the plush in your casket.
So if you've watched any of the videos, especially the most recent series, you'll know that we have been toting around 2 Yeti coolers for quite some time. And this isn't a direct shot at Yeti, but the coolers aren't that great. Now, some people say you gotta use Yeti cubed ice packs or dry ice is better, and that's all fine and well. But if you've been in the desert for any amount of time, specifically Lake Powell, I'll link that video in one of these 2 corners so you can see how blistering hot it is. You know that ice doesn't last in a cooler, period. It may last for a day or maybe 2 days, but when we're 3 and 4 days way out into the desert or way up into the mountains, which in the mountains, not such a big deal because it's typically a lot cooler in the mountains. But if we're in a dry, hot climate, that ice is gone. And getting back to get ice, just to get ice, in case you haven't done that yet, is a huge pain. So we went as long as we could and held on to our pennies as long as we could to try to avoid having to spend the money on a refrigerator slash freezer. Now, the research that's gone into which one we want and which one works for us is probably going to be different for everybody. But what we decided that we needed, and I say need very loosely, what we decided that we wanted was something that is going to fit in the back of the Jeep the way everything is right now. So if you guys are familiar with our rig, we have that hook road platform that goes across the top of the Jeep, and we typically stack a lot of stuff up there. Well, I don't want to have to take that out. And more importantly, I don't want to have to raise it. I like the height that it is. I like being able to slide our bins in on top and it sits right in there. I like the whole platform. I don't want to do anything with it. So a big part of choosing this fridge and freezer was based on its size and its dimensions. Now, this one is only a 47 quart. I say only because there's refrigerators out there that are much bigger than this one. Now, when we're looking for a specific overland fridge, or if it's a camper van or whatever it is, obviously your size is limited. And how much space you have inside your rig is what really dictates what type of fridge you get. We could have made more space and we could have bought a bigger one, but we decided that this one is gonna be good enough for us. It's roughly the same size as our Yeti cooler, the big white one that we've been taking everywhere, but without having to put ice in it, you actually maximize the space that you have. So 47 liters or 47 quarts may not sound like a whole lot, and quite honestly, it's not. When I got this and I opened it up, I looked at my wife, I said, should we send this back and get another one? And she was like, no, this should be fine. I'm mostly sold. I'm mostly sold that this is going to be enough for us, but we won't be able to tell until we get out there on the trail. Now, we are really close, 2 weeks away now from our next trip, and it's back out west. If you guys haven't caught on yet, everything awesome is out west. The west side is the best side, and that's just really all I can tell you. So as we gear up for that trip, we are going to be spending time in Arizona, and we're going to be spending time in New Mexico after we get done at our best friend's wedding. So we're going to go to Arizona, and then we're going to head south deeper into Arizona, and then we're going to come back to New Mexico before we come back home. Now, when we're looking at fridges, obviously the Dometic overlanding fridge is a great option. And I say overlanding fridge because that's kind of what we do. Obviously camper vans or on your boat. I was telling my wife we could just put this on the boat and plug it in to the 12 volt and we'd be fine. We'd be good to go. Because obviously on the boat, ice is always melting. But the size really comes down to how many people you have in your family, right? If you even need a refrigerator, we had decided that we need one because this is something we're gonna continue to do long term. In the very beginning, when we started shooting videos and we decided that we were gonna put them on YouTube, we didn't have any agenda in terms of continuing to do this. We wanted to see what it was about. We love being out in the wilderness. And we were able to kind of survive these first 3 trips without having to get a fridge freezer. Now, the fridge freezer is kind of a catch-22 because this is a single compartment. The Zero ARB fridge freezer, 47 quart, is one compartment. Now, it will go down to, I think, -7 degrees Fahrenheit, and then obviously it'll go up as much as you want it to go up. But with that being said, having a single zone means you can either freeze or you can refrigerate. And I thought about getting a dual zone, and I've watched tons of videos from other people who have dual zones, and quite honestly, a dual zone sounds nice if you're gonna eat a lot of ice cream. That's really it. I mean, I don't know what other purpose. It sounds cool to have a dual zone, and maybe a lot of people use it. For us, a dual zone is absolutely useless. The amount of food that we carry is typically for 3 or 4 days. Now, for 3 or 4 days, we can put everything in the refrigerator. It keeps it at a safe temperature, and we don't have to worry about anything. Now, with your cooler, you're gonna run into melted ice. We have lost so much food to melted ice, and the packages get wet, and whatever's in the packages goes bad. Your vegetables are always bad. They don't stay crisp. So I'm really, really excited to get out on the trail and try life with a refrigerator. Now, the price. These things are expensive. And when I started looking at them, that was my biggest hesitation. Why am I gonna spend $1,000 on essentially a mini fridge that when I could buy a big fridge for my house for $1,000? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's the market. So we're kind of just stuck there. Now, this does have a drain plug in the bottom. So when you get home, just like coolers, I'm sure this thing is gonna be disgusting when we get home. And it has a drain plug in the bottom. I can unplug it, rinse it out. It all drains out the bottom, and it should be super easy to clean, which is also a pretty cool thing. It's just like a cooler with that drain plug where you can just spray everything out, clean it out, open it up, let it sit, and you'll be good to go. Now, one of the biggest reasons I chose ARB, well, there's 2 really big reasons. One, ARB's been doing this stuff forever. I know Dometic has a great name, and I have no beef with Dometic at all. Actually, full disclosure, I ordered a Dometic first, but the company that I bought it from never responded to my emails, never sent me shipping notification. I had to go through PayPal and dispute the charge and get my money back. It was just a whole thing. And then I ordered this one. They sent me the wrong one, and then I finally got this one. So it's been kind of a process. But Dometic is a great company, and I was gonna go with them first, but after I started thinking about it, ARB has just a track record of being really well. I was reading some Dometic reviews on Amazon, and they're really not great. ARB, obviously, you're always gonna hear about the bad, you never really hear about the good, but all of my other ARB equipment and everything else that we have from ARB has been rock solid. So I ordered the slider and I ordered the tie downs, so this will be able to slide out of the Jeep. Only problem is, I have a goose gear platform that's coming that isn't going to be here before we leave on our trip, which really, really stinks. So I'm gonna have to pull this out, open it, shove it back in. I'm not excited about that, but that's where we are. So the reason I bought this was simply because ARB's name, and secondly, the power supply. Now, I'm gonna make another video about this, but I will have this plugged into my Jeep 75% of the time. The times it's not plugged into the Jeep, it will be plugged into our Goal Zero. I've done some tests on that I'll reveal in the next video. And I've done a lot of research on how to make this last as long as I can, which it's really interesting how one way of powering this unit actually lasts longer than a different way. But anyways, I'm sidetracking. It has an input on the front and an input on the back. It's 12 volt and 24 volt, something like that. I'm not an electrician. I don't really know. But I know that I can use a cigarette lighter on either side, right? And I can also use a regular plug on either side. So I can plug it in from the back, I can plug it in from the front. Having this plug on the front is nice for before we leave, we'll get it down to temperature, we'll throw it in the Jeep, and it won't pull as many amps. And it won't pull, draw as much power. Now, the dual battery setup and the whole dual battery system, I really like the concept, but I'm just not sure it's necessary. I don't run a ton of lights on my Jeep. I don't have a bunch of amber lights and a big KC light bar atop the front, on top of the front of the Jeep. So I only have a few lights that I really rarely even use. So a dual battery doesn't really make much sense. I'm gonna run a couple of more tests to find out how much power this draws off the battery and how long the battery will keep this charged if I turn the Jeep off. Now it also has a controllable app. So you can control your fridge freezer from your phone. 2020, you gotta love it. But that in itself is kind of nice because you can check on it. Now you can also set a low voltage mode, medium voltage mode, and a high voltage mode. So if your battery gets low, it'll turn your fridge off. That's really freaking cool. So that's really gonna be helpful if we wanna set it to where it draws the battery extremely low because we have a jump box and we're not concerned about starting it and having that alternator recharge that battery, we can do that. But realistically, this thing stays cool for quite a long time when it's unplugged. And that's one of the things that I was testing on top of what will run and how will this function in the elements, right? I had it outside, I had it inside, in the sun, out of the sun. So I really kind of dug into what I can expect to get out of this while we're on our trip. Now, this ARB fridge freezer looks really sweet. It looks really cool. Its dimensions are about 22.5 or 21.5 inches tall. So that fits just in underneath my platform rack. It's only about 19.5 inches wide, and I think it's about 27.5 inches deep. So it's not very big. 47 quarts might sound like a lot, but it's really not. I think it's 75 cans or something like that. I don't know. I really just should have tried to remember this stuff before I hopped on camera. But the fact of the matter is that if you are new to overlanding, do not buy a refrigerator. Don't do it. I'm not sure what the resale value is. You're gonna lose money if you decide, hey, that's not for me. But use a cooler. Spend the money on the products that are going to get you out of a situation. This is a luxury item. This is by no means a necessity. But as you continue going on trips, we're going on a few week trips every 3 months or every 2 months. We're out. So for us, it's gonna make a lot of sense. Now, I held off as long as I could, like I said earlier, and I would recommend anybody who's getting into overlanding, who just got their rig, get a winch, get rock sliders, get a steel bumper, get something that's going to actually protect your vehicle. Make sure you have all your recovery gear. Make sure you have a good first aid kit, things like that, before you go spend $1,000 on a freezer. Because after everything was said and done, the refrigerator itself cost $900 and some odd dollars. The slide cost $245 or $300, and then the wiring loom, which I don't even know if I'm going to use, it was like another 70 bucks. So we're talking $1,300 for a luxury item. This is not a necessity by any means. Now, if it's something that you want to do full time, or you're going to be on a lot of trips and you have the space and you have the financial means, I'll put the link in the description. You can buy it off Amazon. We appreciate it. If it's not something that's a priority to you, don't worry about it. So if I haven't answered any questions about this, please leave them in the comments. If you like the video, like the video. If you don't like the video, move on to the next video. No point to stay here. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and I will do my best to give you more videos just like these.
These chemicals give me bad reactions. Burn it down to the end.